Starting a business is hard enough. Being able to expand, harder. So I felt it would be a good idea for me to talk about how do you think about expanding your business? When do you know it's the right time? What decisions should you make? What mistakes should you avoid? And the opportunities that come with expanding your business. When we started our business, Oyo was started just in one town called Gurgaon. The first city itself, we had close to 40 or 50 hotels which had partnered with Oyo and were having a good business. So we're adding 1 or 2 hotels every month and it was starting to do really well and we were very happy about the progress we were having. And then one day, a competitor opens up in a different model. Instead of getting the full hotels being serviced, they started servicing a few rooms and launched with 5 hotels in one go. We were already a reasonably large team then. We were probably 32 people. We invited the entire company, including some of our current hotels, managers and their staff on a Sunday. And we called it the MI 100 meeting. Now everybody came to the room and I asked, what is the number of hotels we open every month? People said 2. So I said, I think that's non-controversial. Everybody gets it. Everybody was like, absolutely, that makes sense. So I wrote a question below that and I said, this is going to be a question where others will have different answers. How many can we open in a single month without reducing the proposition that we already make to our partners and customers? So people said 5, 4, 7, 9, 10, and one young associate of ours said 28. And people were already looking at him, you know, that look where people are looking, this, I don't even know what he's thinking. And then I go up to the board and I say, replace all of that and write 100. Saying we are going to open 100 hotels a month. Remember, we were going from 2 hotels to 100 hotels a month. Everybody was working as if we were all working for one single outcome. The first month, when we launched this, after a few weeks, we opened close to 110 hotels. Once we knew that we could take this product from Gurgaon to New Delhi, it just felt like scaling this was not as hard as we thought. In summary, the way you think about it is, nobody else knows when is the right time to scale other than you, the founder. It is unfortunately or fortunately an intuition that the entrepreneur or the founder has and you have to make that decision. However, there are 3 to 4 data points that can help you. The first is a question saying, are you one of those entrepreneurs or founders who want to run a large business? I know of entrepreneurs and founders who don't want to scale their business. They're happy with a lifestyle business with 1 store or few customers who they can constantly serve and be okay with it. If you know you're a scale founder, then the next question is this the right time to scale? The most important in that is, do you have a product market fit? Which means, do you have a product that your customers like? If you have a product that customers like, I think you're in a good direction. When I was thinking about deciding of growing to Delhi, we already have thousands of customers who were using us regularly. They liked our experience every day and they were telling their friends to come stay with us. So it felt like the product market fit was starting to work out. And last but not the least, in the previous section I mentioned to you about capital and other resources. Make sure you have the resources to back up that expansion plan. These are 4 things that you need to consider before you start to expand your business. But all of this said, like I told you, if you have the right problem you're solving, if you know what it is in simplicity, and by that you're able to attract early employees, vendors, and get a customer product market fit, you have the capital, maybe it is time for you to scale and make sure that users around the country that you're serving or around the state that you're serving or around the continent that you're serving or around the world that you're serving fall in love with the products that you want to build.
So back in 2014, we were in Gurgaon serving thousands of customers every week, every month. All of them were very, very happy to actually saw our accommodation, experience the accommodation and all.
So I remember very clearly, we had a meeting, we sat in a room, this was a very small team. We got together and we acknowledged that Delhi has the potential to be significantly larger than Gurgaon. We launched Delhi with a campaign that we called Mission Impossible. Ritesh has this knack of really raising the bar and aligning everyone by really calling out the mission and making the mission larger than life.
When we actually improved their revenue, occupancy, consumers were very happy. I think that is the time when we realized that, okay, we can conquer anything.
And I would also add that the people who were part of that room have gone on to play, larger, bigger roles at Oyo, not just in India, but on a global basis. So that expansion, Gurgaon to Delhi, of course, has a very special place at Oyo.
So now you're scaling not just to every city in India, but you want to scale to every country in the world. How do you do that when you don't even know how to speak the language? Let's say China.
Well, China was a very interesting learning experience. Before I get there, for one, whenever you're thinking about setting up a global business, technology and the internet are great levelers. Today, there are internet companies being set up in basements that are being used in hundreds of countries around the world. For us, and frankly for anybody, regardless of the business you're starting, make sure that you leverage digital, the power of internet, the power of social media, the power of content more than ever before. Once you have that going with you, you can start reaching out to multiple geographies. There are two things that you do. The first, make sure that you experiment in small sizes and low risk always. We did so too. Very few people know that the first country Oyo launched was not China or US. The first country we launched was in 2016, just 3 years or 2.5 years after our founding, which was Malaysia. Because we wanted to go experiment our business, see what's working, what we could do better, and so on. Once we knew by 2018, we kept doing that for 2 years. We made a bunch of mistakes. But once we knew we had a basic playbook to launch other geographies, that's when we started scaling in many markets around the world. The second thing you do is make sure that you again go back and speak to consumers, the ecosystem, and so on. Remember to always be customer backwards. And third, but probably one of the most important, make sure that you are willing to give that market the time. A time of at least 6 months or 9 months to be able to prove itself, because when we launch any country, sure we have a playbook, but to make sure that the market truly is successful, it always takes a 6-9 months period. And giving it the time is always very crucial. But speaking of China, that was one of the most interesting experiences. There was a very interesting board meeting before we were thinking about launching Oyo China. And the board meeting, there was this question of saying that, how do you think about taking Oyo to China? And I had spent before that months learning from Chinese customers, hotel owners, employees of other hotel chains about what works, what doesn't work in the market. And my context to our board was saying that if we try to take Oyo from Oyo Global into Oyo China, we probably almost definitely fail. But if we try to be the entrepreneur in China who knows about certain Oyo that exists in some other parts of the world and wants to create a better Oyo locally, there is some probability of success. We should not be taking Oyo from Oyo Global to China. We should be building Oyo in China by copying Oyo Global very quickly, but at the same time, being able to make sure that we're creating new things as required.
When we met people, we understood that, okay, local entrepreneur, hiring local entrepreneur, local leadership is very important. Do not force English on them. It is our problem that we don't know Chinese. Merchants were not able to actually improve their consumer experience. And that was the eye-opener. And we started like rolling out in China, hiring local leadership, hiring local employees, making sure that the decision making still lies in China. Technology was a very, very key element, and we made sure that we actually try to build technology in such a manner which can be contributed to Chinese entrepreneur, Chinese local merchant, Chinese consumer and all. All of us were very, very amazed the way things happened in China, the way Oyo built in China. We made Oyo the top 5, top 10 hotel chain in China, which is usually, if you look at any other player, they took almost like 10 years average. And we did it in like 2 years. So I would say that this is one of the most important achievement we achieved in China, and the learnings are immense.
That mindset of creating a new business versus emulating a global business fundamentally allowed us to think like entrepreneurs in China than that of people who were expanding a business in China. That structurally is probably, in my view, one of the best formats of localized thinking.
So you built Oyo twice in that sense, each one in a different market.
Not just that, I think China definitely was an experience in itself, but at the same time we launched newer platforms. So for example, we have Oyo Homes today, which is probably half the size of our hotel. So any large strategic decisions of business, whether it is Europe or China or Southeast Asia, they all required almost rethinking the business all over again for long-term impact. But of course, this applied more so in China because everything was different, right? Payment platforms, languages, talent that you recruit, everything was invariably different. So in summary, if you're an entrepreneur or a founder who wants to scale their business in multiple geographies in your country, around the world, around segments, and so on, here are 4 important things for you to know. The first, allocate a very, very low budget to try and experiment any of these markets. The cost of launching a new market today is extremely low. All you need is to be able to make a domain in that country, use an internal internet platform to be able to convert the language in case a country has a different language. And typically today, payment software, social media platforms, etc. transcend boundaries. The second bit to remember is do not be afraid that it's a different country, different state. I've never been there. How do I become a national brand? How do I become a global brand? Remember, at the end of the day, if the cost of it is negligible and your distraction is not so high and you believe consumers there need your product, just give it a go. The cost of failing is very low anyway. As we discussed, you're allocating very low budgets for this. The third, don't be surprised if you fail. When we launched all our countries, at the end of first month, we had a feeling that we failed in almost every country we launched. But that's just a learning experience of saying that there are a few things that went right, a few things you can improve, and those few things you keep improving every quarter in order to become a more successful and a better product and company for your customers and partners. And last but not the least, collect the data every time you can of learnings that you're having from these failures and keep using those to improve, because failures are not valuable if you don't take advantage of them to become a smarter, better company next day or the next hour or the next month, whenever you come up with being a better version of yourself. With this, I hope a lot of you will be able to use these resources to be able to build your business not just in one place, and if you like to scale, you'll be able to make sure that your product reaches millions of people around the world.